How's it going, everyone? Mick Ambrose from AllAboutTech. Welcome back to another video. Today's video, I decided to do my own sort of thought process into all the things Electroneum are doing, and then give you my personal opinions in regards to what is gonna determine the price action for Electroneum. I know a lot of people are very dissatisfied as such with the current price of ETN. But at the same time, I mean, Bitcoin's just taken a dump again, and some people were saying about ETN is just always down, when actually Ethereum was down more than Electroneum yesterday, Neo was down more than Electroneum yesterday, EOS was down more than Electroneum yesterday, and a bunch of others were down more than Electroneum. But today I want to talk to you about 4 things. Those things are financial inclusion, the gig economy, ETN's maximum supply, and number of users. And those are 4 specific things that I've picked out because I believe that those 4 things directly link with each other, which will then determine positive price action if everything is achieved by the Electroneum team. So the first thing I want to talk about is financial inclusion. So what we know, and I'll link in the description Chris Gorman's LinkedIn article in terms of financial inclusion. I'm not going to go into massive details because I'm simply picking out these 4 different things and determining what parts of those things are going to determine positive price action for ETN. And what we know is that there are 1.7 billion people globally without bank accounts. And this is all around the world. I'll pop up a map of what it looks like. This map is also in Chris Gorman's LinkedIn article. And huge props to Chris Gorman, director of Electroneum, because it is such an interesting read, that financial inclusion article. I definitely recommend, if you haven't already looked at it. It's quite long, but it's so detailed, it's unreal. So 1.7 million people globally without bank accounts. And this is important because Electroneum are going to, they're trying to bank the unbanked. All these people without bank accounts, targeting these areas where these areas are predominantly low income areas, where there's no access to bank accounts. But a huge percentage of these people have access to smartphones and the internet. So if you think about that, Electroneum are giving people this digital fintech solution, and millions of people are going to jump in it purely because it will be Electroneum, ETN will be for many of these people their first taste of fintech and digital inclusion, together financial inclusion, which isn't just about putting a bank on a street corner. If people have access to smartphones and access to the internet, and we already know that in a lot of these countries the phone bill and data is extremely cheap because it's a low income area, so being able to use the mobile miner with the mobile operators that Electroneum have partnered with, that we're still yet to find out about, being able to pay their mobile, part of their mobile phone bill, and in some areas pay the majority of their phone bill if it's going to average out at roughly $3 a month. Some countries, their phone bills with data come to around $3 a month. So I don't think that's a coincidence. I think that is a number that's been brought forward and aimed upon. So financial inclusion, millions of people experiencing fintech, digital banking for the first ever time via Electroneum, and people are going to get on it purely because loads of people will be getting onto it. And this brings me into the next part of what I think will determine positive price action. and that is the gig economy. So this links with financial inclusion, as there isn't, as not only is there now a way to pay and receive by all these people being financially included, digitally included with ETN, but now they can also earn digitally in return for services and work. And this gets people transacting in ETN in exchange for services and work, and this creates value because people are using it to earn ETN, and people will be spending ETN. So it creates value as people want to be paid. That'll be their preferred form of payment. It's a more internationally recognised form of currency, as opposed to their usual fiat currency, which they can't bank, they can't put in a bank, they can't log on remotely, online, etc. ETN will become the means of payment for those areas, and that's really important because it creates a life cycle and an ecosystem for Electroneum where it's spending less time just being traded as a speculative investment and more time actually being used, which means less ETN will be on the exchanges, which also creates less supply, more demand, hence a rise in value. And in terms of supply now, I'm going to go into the third topic, which is ETN's maximum supply. So we all know that ETN's maximum supply of coins will be 21 billion, but it won't reach the maximum for a long time, if ever, because as it gets closer to that max, the rewards get reduced and reduced and reduced and reduced. They're saying that Bitcoin, the final Bitcoin, will be mined in like 100 years or something ridiculous like that, because of how the rewards get smaller and smaller the closer you get. So it gets slower and slower, the amount of coins being produced. And the supply seems higher at 21 billion, but in reality it's not actually that much higher because of the 2 decimal places. There's, 8 decimal places in Bitcoin, which means that there are so many different parts of Bitcoin. And I think Matt from Minting Coins has spoken about this, about how this Bitcoin actually has more parts to a Bitcoin, Satoshis, as ETN does with only having 2 decimal places. So so if you haven't seen that video, go check it out. Massive props to Matt from Minting Coins. He actually, last time I wore this shirt, he complimented this shirt saying nice shirt, so thank you. Massively appreciated. But I digress a little bit. So with only having 2 decimal places, that will be all the 2 decimal, that will ever be able to be used. I know exchanges, they still use more decimal places just in terms of trading, but in terms of actually going on your app, being able to withdraw from an exchange, etc., you can only withdraw in 2 decimal places, and it's easier to read for integrating into shops, into retailers, into be able to accept ETN as a form of payment. It's simpler. It's simpler to read. It's easier to convert into fiat, and overall that is much better. And then with financial inclusion, the gig economy, and ETN use cases being achieved, the supply will be even shorter, as less ETN will hit exchanges because there will no longer be the need to convert, especially in these areas that are aiming for financial inclusion. ETN is going to be the means of transacting. That's what the aim is. It's going to be the means of transacting. They won't have to exchange for fiat currencies because they will be using ETN to buy everything. They won't need to use anything else. And that is the reason I think Electroneum is going to take the entire world by storm when it comes to financial inclusion, because I think they've got it spot on the money there. And in Richard Ells's video that he recently released about banking the unbanked. It's easier to get into that market because they haven't. The people will be excited to be a part of that financial and digital inclusion in terms of using ETN as a means of payment. In terms of the Western world, we have so many means of transacting digitally already, and people do not like change. People do not like moving onto something else. So it's a lot easier, as Richard Ells has stated, to just go with all these people that have the means to be able to do it, but they don't have a solution for it because they don't have a bank account, etc. But they've got the tech there. They've got smartphones. They've got access to the internet, which means that gives ETN the opportunity to bank these people and get these people using Electroneum. And that moves on to my final part, and I personally think that this is the most important part. Other people have spoken about it before, I've spoken about it before, and that is how valuable the number of users will be for ETN. And if you think about it, the number of 20 million users ETN has stated they want to reach by the end of the year. And if you take the 21 billion maximum supply, and let's face it, it will not be anywhere near that by the end of the year or by the time 20 million users arrive. If you take 21 billion ETN and divide it by 20 million people, that's 1,050 ETN per user. And now, if you think about that and think about transacting an ETN, if 20 million people are all using Electroneum, the current price does not support that many users. The price will have to rise to meet the demand of the amount of people using that currency, if that makes sense. And let's face it, how many people hold a lot more than 1,050 ETN? Thousands of people own more, well more than that. There are some whales out there in terms of their holdings in ETN. So actually, it will take a lot less than 20 million people using Electroneum to create that huge demand for the currency, because there won't be enough. Because a lot of people they'll just have it in their wallets. Like, no, I'm not budging. I'm not getting rid of it. And I know at the moment it seems like the demand is there a lot because obviously, the miners are selling their ETN, which, let me just get it out there. Yes, ASICs are selling their coins, but GPU miners were selling their coins before that as well. So I don't think it would have made much of a difference. But yeah, think about 20 million people. The current price doesn't support 20 million users. The price will have to rise to meet the demand. And that is as simply as I can put that. And then as different products, services that support paying with ETN, that will drive up the number of users. What are Electroneum doing to gather the users? That's the question. They have all these partnerships with Zius, Mobile Streams, Fanfare, mobile operators that we don't know about yet. There's all these different partnerships that are going to drive up the number of users. They've not even started their global marketing campaign yet, and ETN's already nearly at 2 million users. It's at like 1.92 million at the moment. And when they reach 2 million users, there's going to be a lot of talk about Electroneum, because Electroneum have more users and a bigger community than most of the top 20 coins, easily. So that, in my opinion, in a nutshell, is those four things are going to intertwine and interconnect together to create this big ecosystem, and those four things will determine price activity, in my opinion, for Electroneum. So let me know what you think about this. Comment down below. If you've liked this video, give it a thumbs up, and make sure you turn on that notification bell if you're subscribed. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe to the channel. It means it means the absolute world to me. It really does. It doesn't cost you a penny, but it really does help me. So, so yeah, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys out in the next video. Peace out.